Hey guys, welcome back. I missed you. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Please turn to page number 12 in your green box, reading comprehension. We're going to go ahead and look at the answers to the questions that we did and see how we did and learn some cool tricks along the way. You ready? Okay, the first one. Which statement is supported by the information in the article? Gives us 4 choices. Often the more convenient road is the easier one to take. Those who believe in themselves have to rely less on talent and hard work. Success is highly correlated to confidence and hard work, and talent is fleeting, but relationships are forever. First thing I want you to do, go back, turn to page 11 in your green box. There's an awesome sheet called multiple choice tip sheet. Let's have a look at some of them real quick. I've created a Wordle. It captures some ideas on how to really decode multiple choice questions. I think my big one is always decode the question. Exactly what is it asking us to do? Does it want us to tell us how something is constructed, what is constructed, something is supported? It's really, really important because they are going to put distractors in the answers that answer a question, but not the one the article asked us. So really that is so critical. The next thing is process of elimination. So important to do so that we are left with probably 2 answers that both make sense. And then really we have to go back and reread the question to see which of those 2 answers that both could maybe be right have the most evidence to support them. And we're always going to find that one does or one answers a question, but not the one that's being asked of us. The next thing is to look for the answer that we would have in our head before we answer the question. So before we even look at the choices, answer it in your head and see what you come up with. You're going to have a better shot at getting it right that way. So here it says which statement is supported by the information in the article. Let's have a look at why we crossed out B and D right away. Because it says those who believe in themselves have to rely less on talent and hard work. At no point is there anything in the article to back this up. And talent is fleeting, but relationships are forever. While that might be true or not, it's absolutely not what the article is about, and we could barely find any evidence to really tell us that that's what it's about. So we are left with A and C. Let's see which one could be correct. Often the more convenient road is the easier one to take, or success is highly correlated to confidence and hard work. Well, first of all, I need to know what the word correlated means. So if I go ahead and I look at the word correlated, it's that mutual relationship. The 2 are connected to one another. So now that I think, and so we're going to go with C for this one because most of the evidence in the article is about confidence and hard work, and it uses a bunch of real life examples to show us how the confidence in themselves and their hard work help them to succeed. If we look at the questions in this slide, it's asking us which pieces of evidence are going to back up the fact that success is highly correlated to confidence, and hard work. Our choices, we get 2 here. Our choices are, he believed in the one thing no one could take away, his talent. Like these performers, Trevor embodies confidence as an outgrowth of hard work and training. I went out on a limb and did the whole X Factor thing, and when I found out Demi Lovato's a judge, it's one of those moments when you feel like the stars have aligned, Jillian said. He had been open to challenges in life, and he believed in himself and the value of hard work as he chased his dream. And however, he didn't speak until he was 4, didn't read until he was 7, and was considered antisocial and lazy by his teachers. One thing to remember here, it's asking us to support that success is highly correlated to confidence and hard work. And so we need to find 2 pieces of evidence that are going to support both of those statements. And if we look at B and D, they both do because of the underlined words. The distractor in there was probably A. He believed in the one thing no one could take away, his talent. Yes, that does reference confidence, but at no point does it reference hard work, whereas B and D both do, and that is why those 2 are going to be the winners for this question. All right, the next one. Which statement best summarizes the central idea? Whoa, we need to know what the central idea is of paragraph 7 about Jillian Jensen. Okay, so I'm going to teach you what the central idea is. You ready? Here we go. It is the main idea. It is the topic plus the point. In 6th grade, the central idea can mean the exact same thing as the main idea. And the main idea is the topic plus the point. What is this article about, and what are they saying about that thing? So let's go ahead and look at a very funny, cute little video that we made to show us how to identify the main idea. Sound shall follow shortly.
Hey Duncan, what's cooking?
Hi, Donut. Sorry, I'm half asleep. I still need my morning coffee.
Oh yeah, you hear about Aqua's trip?
No, where'd he go?
He just got back from visiting his cousin Icewater.
Oh, that guy is so cool. How's he doing anyway? Has he recovered from that heat wave they had up there last year?
Yeah, I think things have frozen over by now. Speaking of Aqua, here he comes now.
Hi guys, what are you talking about?
Hey, Aqua. We're actually talking about you.
Really? What are you guys saying about me?
We were just talking about your vacation to Iceland.
Yeah, we had an awesome time. We went bobbing up and down the springs, floated with the seals, and just pretty much chilled out.
Oh, there's my water. I've been looking all over for it. Hey guys, your coffee's on the table.
Okay, so there we have it, folks. The main idea is the topic plus the point. The topic here is Aqua's trip to Iceland. What's the point? Well, he went to visit his cousin, Icewater. Let's move on to which statement then best summarizes the central idea. So we have to read that paragraph. That confidence got her through multiple failed auditions, including American Idol. And even though the bullying continued, she stayed focused on her goals. Finally, she stood on the stage in front of 4 judges of the X Factor, including one she admired. She sang Jessie J's Who Are You? In honor of all those teens who have been bullied. I went out on a limb and did the whole X Factor thing, and then I found out Demi Lovato's a judge. It's one of those moments when you feel like the stars have aligned, Jillian said. So we need to look at our choices here. Her confidence was shaken by bullying after she turned in a peer at school. I don't recall most of that paragraph supporting that. B. Jillian had enough confidence in her music to overcome obstacles and then audition on a national stage. That's a very, very possible choice. C. Jillian finally stopped paying attention to those who didn't believe in her ability. I don't recall most of the paragraph being about people that didn't believe in her. It may have been referenced. And D. She felt lucky to be auditioning in front of one of her favorite singers. Yes, she certainly was, but I think that lends itself much more to a detail. I think our answer is obvious at this point because it talks about the barriers, it talks about confidence, and it also talks about a national stage. So we're definitely going to go with B. She had enough confidence in her music to overcome obstacles and then audition on a national stage. Let's look at the next one. Closely reread the poem, The Road Not Taken, throughout the article. How does its progression mirror that of the stories of Hunt, Jensen, and Paul? Okay, so it's important here to understand the question. How does its progression? In other words, as the poem progresses, there are 4 stanzas, and they are cut up and pasted in various parts of the story, and they mirror, meaning they show the parallel world that these 3 characters, Hunt, Jesse, and Paul, are going through. And so each stanza is really mimicking that person's life, right? And that's what the question is saying to us. It mirrors that. So the first one, it mirrors how an individual lost his self-confidence and then gained it back after choosing an easier path. It differs because it doesn't involve the music industry. We need to think about that answer. It differs. Well, the question is asking how it mirrors, not how it differs. So we're probably going to cross that one out. It shows how past successes is a predictor for future successes, especially in the music industry. Well, what is the poem about? It's about a guy trying to make a decision in life. Finally, he chooses a path and he has no regrets, although he kind of does wish that he could have walked both. So really, is it about how past successes is a predictor for future successes? Or is it D, it speaks of a person who must make a decision and chooses the path that may not be easy but makes the biggest difference? Let's look at that word progression. It's how does the poem help develop the story as it moves on? And so we might go with D over here because it does speak of a person who must make that decision. The poem itself is all about making that tough decision. Okay, our next one. Read the sentence from the article. When the label folded, Jermaine went out on his own to find success. Which of the following most clearly defines label as it's used in the sentence? Does it mean a description of a type of musical group, a brand or trademark, a company that manages music artists, or a slip of paper indicating who made something? I think the best thing to do here is to substitute the word for label. And so let's go ahead and do that. A music group folded, this Jermaine went out on his own, or when the brand or trademark folded. A trademark is like a symbolic thing, like the swoosh for Nike or the M for McDonald's. So did we at any point learn that the symbol faded or folded? We did not, so it can't be B. Let's look at A, when the music group folded. Well, the music group was Jermaine and his brother, and they at no point folded, just the opposite. Jermaine continued. So it can't be A, it can't be B. When the company that manages the music artists, or when the slip of paper indicating who made something folded. Well, the last one just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Jermaine is making the music, so he's not folding. So the more obvious choice here is definitely going to be C, and that makes sense in the context of the sentence as well. Because the company that managed Jermaine folded, like went under, was no longer in existence, Jermaine had to make a decision, and he chose to go out on his own as a starving artist, I believe it says. Okay, the next one. How does the author create a unifying thread that supports his message throughout the article? What is a unifying thread? Let's take a look real quick. A thread is a long, thin strand used in sewing or weaving. Think of a thread as something weaving in and out of a story. And look at the answer to make sure that it relates to the question. Okay, let's have a look. The author includes several specific examples of musicians who overcame odds. Okay, the question is asking, how does the author create this unifying thread? Like, what is his craft? What does he do in order for his message to be continually brought up and woven and thread out throughout the article? Okay. B, the author tells the stories of musicians who use self-confidence to become successful. The author uses an illustration to symbolize the two paths available to any young person, or the author references the poem, the road not taken, throughout the text, relating it to the individual stories. If we're looking at how the author creates this unifying thread, a thread, definitely the more obvious answer here is going to be the poem. He cut it up into 4 stanzas and pasted them throughout the story. And the word throughout over here is also a very nice indicator because it mirrors the question as well. Don't always look for that, but it is a means of support if you're not sure which answers to choose. Okay, which statement best expresses why this article was written? Is it to show how self-confidence can influence people to make choices that cause them to enjoy success? Is it to introduce the reader to new young musicians, to educate young people on how to become successful musicians, or to educate young people not to place all their hopes on one dream? Let's look at B, C, and D. To introduce the reader to new young musicians. Yes, we were introduced to some wonderful musicians, but that is not the reason the author wrote the article. He had a very specific, or she had a very specific purpose in mind. To educate us. If they were educating us on how to become successful musicians, there would be step-by-step directions. First do this, then do this, then do this. And that is not how the article was written. Or D, to educate us not to place all of our hopes on one dream. As a matter of fact, that's contradictory almost to the message. So we, by process of elimination here, are going to go with A. All right, let's look at our next one. Which 2 statements from the article support that answer? And just to reference the answer, to show how self-confidence can influence people to make choices that cause them to enjoy success. We are looking for self-confidence and success in this answer. A, I have no regrets. I'm glad I took a leap of faith and auditioned. I'm actually on TV pursuing my dreams. And just to hear my story and be a testimony or an inspiration to teens out there that are going through the same thing, it was great. Jermaine had already tasted success in many forms, and he had confidence that those successes would help him persevere. Although voted off the shell, Jillian gained widespread acceptance. Experts have identified common themes in the life of elite performers in all fields. They equate confidence with a belief in the inherent ability to perform at a high level. So Jillian turned to music. Music is what I love. It's the only thing I really, truly am confident in. Let's look at those choices. The last one. She turned to music. It's the only thing she's confident in. That's great, but at no point does it talk about success. Let's look at D. Experts have identified common themes in the lives of elite performers. Yes, that's good, but we are supporting how self-confidence can influence people to make choices that cause them to enjoy success. So we are looking for those examples of people that had self-confidence and therefore they enjoyed success. So the C, although she was voted off the show, she gained widespread acceptance. That doesn't show us an example necessarily of self-confidence. Yes, leading up to that she had, but that statement alone doesn't embed it. And we don't know she enjoyed success because she did get voted off the show. However, it does lend itself to that, but it is missing the build up to that. So A and B are going to be our two choices for this one. Because it's got self-confidence and success, it's got examples of both of those in them. Leap of faith is going to be self-confidence, and I'm on TV pursuing my dreams. That's my representation of success. And then Jermaine had already tasted success, and the word confidence is in there. So definitely those two statements are going to support our answer over here. All right, looking at the following illustration. When viewed in the context of the poem and the article, so we need to consider both here. What does this image suggest? It was possible for the musicians to know whether they would succeed at either path. Confidence in choosing the correct path is the beginning of a successful career. The two paths appear the same, so the musicians had to take a chance in selecting a path. And the person choosing between two paths has little knowledge about which one will be better. Now we really need to think of the actual article and the message behind the article to answer this question. What does this image suggest? All right, if we look at this following illustration, and we have to view this in context of the poem and the article, we need to remember the message, the central theme of the entire article when we consider this. Are they saying that this illustration is symbolic of it was impossible for the musicians to know whether they would succeed at either path, or the confidence in choosing the correct path is the beginning of a successful career, or the two paths appear the same, so the musicians had to take a chance in selecting a path, or the person choosing between the two paths has little knowledge about which one will be better. So if we look at D, the last one, the person choosing between the two paths has little knowledge. While that is true in the poem, I think in the article, the author was very, very clearly stating that these starving music artists were like adamant to try and make it, and they knew that them succeeding would be the better path for themselves, so they sacrificed a whole lot to make it. So I don't think that D is really symbolic of the central message. C, the two paths appear the same. I don't think the artist felt that way. They knew that they wanted to be on American Idol, they wanted to be on The Voice, they wanted to be on the X Factor as opposed to not being. And B, confidence in choosing the correct path is the beginning of a successful career. I think that word confidence very definitely symbolizes a lot about what our article is about over here, confidence. So forgive my wonderful text marking over here, but we are going to go with B for this one. There you go. Okay, good job. All right, which statement from the article best supports the idea that past mistakes and failures can be overcome to achieve ultimate success? Confidence got her through multiple failed auditions, including American Idol, and though the bullying continued, she stayed focused on her goals. Exhausted and discouraged by that experience, Hunt didn't have the strength to try again. As far as bullies are concerned, she had the better claim, stating that they don't matter to me anymore. And he decided to start over again as a starving solo artist, even though he was now a husband and a father. So if we look at A, we're trying to figure out here which statement best supports the idea that past mistakes and failures can be overcome to achieve success. So which statement there has got reference to a past mistake or a failure so that we can see that it can be overcome for ultimate success? So this one over here, it talks about multiple failed auditions. And then it talks about another barrier, the bullying continued. But then it does talk about she stayed focused on her dreams. So that's very definitely a possibility. The next one is exhausted and discouraged. He didn't have the strength to try again. It doesn't reference any past mistakes or failures that led to success. So we're going to X out that one. As far as the bullies are concerned, she's had the better claim. They don't matter to me anymore. That doesn't reference a past mistake or failure. And so D, he decided to start over again as a starving solo artist, even though he was now a husband and a father. It doesn't reference a past success. I mean, we know that he had one, but that one doesn't actually reference it. So we are going to go over here with A. All right. And here we can see the evidence that shows us that these past mistakes and failures are actually evident in A. All right, guys, we're almost there. Read the following quotation by Steven Spielberg. Failure is inevitable. Success is elusive. We have to understand the definition of inevitable and elusive in order to understand this question. So let's have a look. Elusive is difficult to achieve, while inevitable, it's good. Right? Everybody's going to die. That is the inevitable. Sorry, guys, if you didn't know that. I hate Burst Your Bubble. So I've given you the answer, but let's figure out why. So how does this quotation support the information presented in the article about Spielberg and the others? So you need to take the whole central theme of the article into perspective as you try and get to the answer here. Steven Spielberg believes that singers would have been wise to stop auditioning after their failures. That is not the message of the article. That is not the example Steven Spielberg lived his life by. It is completely false. Get rid of that one. Spielberg failed at producing before he became an award-winning director. Okay? Yes, that's true. That's a good distractor. Is that the message of the article? Is there feeling behind that one? Is the theme parent there? That confidence, self-belief? Keeping to try, is all that mentioned there? No, but let's keep that one on hold. Spielberg knows that most people will not be successful at the path they choose in life. At no point in the article does it focus on that point, so there's not enough evidence in the article to really back that one up. So then let's look at D. He was rejected from theater school 3 times, but like those featured in the article, he sought elusive success and continued trying. That right there is the message supported in the article. So we're going to go with that one. Awesome job, guys. If you're at a stopping point, well done. If not, we are going to look at how to answer number 10. Closely reread the poem, The Road Not Taken, as it is included in the text of the article. How does the author use this poem to support the claims made in the article? For the purposes of today, we're just going to talk about claim being the message, the central theme. We know that it's about self-confidence. We know that it's about hard work, overcoming, belief in yourself. Okay, so here is a beautiful acronym to really take into account as you answer a TDQ, which is a text-dependent question. It is not a right there question. You have to think for yourself. You have to interpret different things. You have to make meaning out of it. You cannot just point and rewrite. That's not a 6th grade option anymore. So we use race. Or you always restate the question so you have a clarity of a thought, and then you answer. A cohesive means like a well thought out, put together response. So A stands for answer. And then C stands for cite. You've got to cite or reference evidence in the article to support your answer. And then E, you've got to elaborate. This is so critical. Without an E, you can never get full credit. This is where you explain the connection, how the evidence supports the answer to your question. And then you finish with a wrap-up sentence. Let's see what this looks like. The question says, closely reread the poem, The Road Not Traveled, as it is included in the text of the article. How does the author use this poem to support the claims made in the article? Let's look at our race in the top right corner over there and begin with the R. Restate the question. So go ahead in your green books. You guys are now on page 14. Put a pen or a pencil in your hand and start writing. I want you to rewrite that. The author uses the poem to support the claims made in the article by. Now, if you've already answered this, you want to leave your answer as is, but you just want to also copy this one down, and then we can make some adjustments to the one you have. Great. There's space underneath the lines. Start writing in there. I don't mind, but let's get it going. So, rewrite that statement. The author uses the poem to support the claims made in the article by. That is a great way to restate the question. Now we have to answer with a response. And actually, to this particular one, there are a few responses that we could choose from. There's actually 3. So we're going to go ahead for the sake of this and pick the answer by using language directly from the poem. So that is going to be one of 3 answers. So go ahead and write that down. Now, the tricky thing to do is to cite supporting and relevant evidence to support the claims from both the texts. So you've got to find examples of that language directly from the poem. The article says that Trevor Hunt stood at a divergence of 2 roads, and Julian Jensen had the better claim against her bullies. It also states that Jermaine Paul's path made all the difference. This is language directly from the poem. So go ahead and write that down. Next, hey guys, when it comes to elaboration, which is going to be the E for race, man, this is where you really got to put on your thinking caps. This is not easy stuff. This is where you differentiate from 5th grade to middle school. You have got to put in your own words how your evidence answers the question. So this is the meat and potatoes. Really want you guys to think through how your evidence supports the answer to that question. Go ahead, take your time. You may copy from me if you need to this one time because this is your model. But I would really like to see some of your own thinking at this point. So see what you can come up with. Don't forget to put an elaboration statement in there as well as a wrap-up sentence.